Welcome back to another Tainted Lost Isaac Repentance run. Now I've maxed out pretty much everything in this game, so now I just play for fun, and this run was extremely fun. The Ghost Pepper is a very strong item on any character, but extremely strong on the Tainted Lost and Lost characters. The shield that you have pretty much enables you to all the time get to the third floor, beat the third floor boss, and pick up that Perfection Trinket, which increases the chances of you spawning the Ghost Pepper Fire. Now the Ghost Pepper Fire, you can get it to the point where you're shooting 50% of your tiers, also shooting one of those blue tiers. The blue tier is extremely strong because not only does it do a shitload of damage, but it also blocks incoming tiers and other projectiles. So that's a great way that you can insulate yourself from a whole bunch of damage and also deal an incredible amount of damage back to your enemies. You're going to see that come into play hugely, especially in some of the bosses in this run. So yeah, keep your eyes peeled, really watch out for when that fire hits enemies. They melt instantaneously. It's super duper satisfying. As usual, the first floor is just about collecting resources, trying not to get hit and keeping that shield intact. Nothing is going to give you any trouble with a strong item like this, so just keep your distance, try to utilize as much of the damage as you can. See, like just now where I'm wiping out multiple enemies with one of those fires, just crushing through them, and that's really the key to snowballing with an item like this. So right now, just trying to do some mental math, trying to figure out where that secret room is. Wasn't in my first choice, but is in my second choice location. Now this is pretty crazy that I not only got Ghost Pepper, which is extremely strong, but also got the Epic Fetus. An epic item, but in this case, nowhere near as strong as the Ghost Pepper. It replaces your tiers with a targeted missile strike that goes off on a timer. It just wouldn't really synergize super well with the Ghost Pepper because you wouldn't be getting out as many of those tiers like right now I am. But very strong item, the Ghost Pepper. Watch as it tears through this boss. Amazing how one shot effectively does half the health of the boss. Very easy first floor. So effectively this run is on a timer. I only really have this floor and the next before I become totally overpowered. And that's only accelerated now by the fact that I just got Spider Mod and a bonus Holy card. So on top of being quite strong, I've got an extra barrier there in case I do somehow screw things up. Spider Mod, great little companion. He scurries around the floor there, applies effects to enemies, and gives me great information about what health the enemies have remaining. Really great damage there, just tearing through those enemies. Don't feel the need to take on any more risk than I need to with that challenge room. And scatter bombs is going to be a pass here. It's just too unreliable. Those little bombs can deal damage to you. So when you place a bomb, it splits into several smaller bombs. And any one of those, if it just goes way off and comes towards you, that can break your shield, putting you in a pretty precarious situation. So I avoid that every time. Alright, Girdlings, this is a run ender on some runs because they can move quite quick and all of the little poops that get spawned by the Girdlings are pretty unpredictable. So in this case, just keeping my distance, dealing a bit of damage and letting my Ghost Pepper deal a bunch of damage on my behalf. Devil Deal, obviously. I thought, hey, why not? Let's check it out. Let's see what's in there. Unfortunately, it's just not very good. There's no reason for me to look at Brimstone. I've already got so much damage, and I feel confident about where my damage is going to come from in this run. Alright, annoying room of spiders made really easy by great damage and ghost pepper. Got little clots. I should have picked that up right now, but I think I just didn't really notice what it was, and I'll come back to it in just a second. Now naturally, as the Lost, you want to abuse the fact that you have flying. You want to be hanging out over pits and over mushrooms and rocks and that kind of thing, and avoiding damage that way. It's a really great way of stopping yourself from taking damage. Shop is pretty great. We've got the red stew. Really good item. It's a temporary damage boost, a really high temporary damage boost. So you want to be picking that up in early floors so that you can get through some of the early levels and make sure you snowball into a really strong setup. Now, one of the really undesirable effects of tears is the Are You Wizard effect. Just makes it really hard to hit enemies if you're really stuck in that cardinal direction. And there we go, I've picked up the little clot trinket, effectively doubling my damage. Without the ability to spawn the ghost pepper fires, but still that's a pretty good bonus to my damage. Wow, yeah, see that? Just every time one of those fires comes out, wiping out a whole row of enemies. Really valuable, and you know, there's not really anything that can stand up against that. Okay, Cricket's Head, making this run even more busted. So I picked up a huge amount of damage there, effectively doubling my damage. I'm feeling quite confident here, so I'm going to take on the challenge room. Not really much to gain out of it. It would have been nice if it was some kind of tears up or something like that, but just some consumables. None of these enemies are going to pose much of a difficulty to me unless they get really close and somehow forget to dodge. Now picking up the red stew. Look at the size of those shots and the fires. That is a lot of damage. This Fallen is going to melt pretty much straight away. So picking up Guppy's Head, which is great for the little flies that it spawns, which are going to be dealing a ton of damage, but also they're picking up the Perfection Trinket, really heavily increasing the amount of times that those fires are going to spawn, and then defeating Krampus in the Devil Deal to pick up the coal, which means that further that my shots fly, the more damage that they will do. From here, it's pretty safe to say that this is ruling out any kind of catastrophic event. This run is in a really good state. It would really take something like maybe a really bad laser room, or let's say shooting in the wrong direction so the shots aren't blocked by my fires. Foreshadowing. But there we go. Synth Oil dealing so much damage that this boss challenge room is over in no time at all. Got the shop and the item room, picking up Purity, which is going to give me a huge boost to my tears. Rerolling to see what I can get out of this shop. Humbling Bundle, fantastic. I don't mind that at all. I don't think I get anything else super impactful out of this shop. More consumables, more bombs. And look at those fires, just absolutely lighting things up. Off to the boss room. Alright. That was over really quick. I was formulating my thoughts, trying to think of what I could add to that fight, but it was over before I even could formulate anything to say there. So off we go down to the next floor. Depths 1, store credit, free item out of the shop. And we have the shop here. PhD is not going to give me a lot of bang for buck, so I'm just going to re-roll. Not a lot coming out of the shop at the moment. The item room gives me the intruder, which gives me some extra shots coming out with my regular shots. Not incredible, but it's free damage, and I'm already so far over the top. I'm not really I'm not in dire straits. Picking up the backpack, extra active item space. So a really good item to pick up if you've got something that's super reliable like Guppy's Head, and maybe you want something that will give you some kind of damage mitigation like maybe the Glowing Hourglass. As you can see, just bulldozing through these rooms. Right up until I come up against this one, these leapers. I'm shooting in the wrong direction there, so the fires don't come out in a way that can protect me from their shots, and I take some pretty bad damage. That's okay, I've got an extra holy card, so I pop that straight away, getting back that shield, and jumping into the library. This is a fantastic library. Book of Virtues is one of my favorite items to get from a library, because it effectively stacks on top of whatever active items you've got currently. So here I have it stacking with Guppy's Head. Every time I use it, I gain a little wisp that can block shots. Not really much to say about that fight. This is just another case where that damage just destroys them and there's not really a lot to add. Doing the same thing to the angel in the angel room. I did pick up Little Delirium here. My usual take on Little Delirium is that it's too risky. The fact that it can turn into Bob's Brain, which is a projectile familiar. If you're too close to an enemy, that Bob's Brain can hit that enemy and deal damage to you as well. So it's not really a great pickup. But I picked up in this case just because I'm feeling really, really confident. As you can see, I'm blitzing this run, and I don't feel like there's a lot that can take me down. So pride do goeth before the fall, but look at that chub melt. I think in this case it's probably fairly warranted. Shop is the greed. Okay, fine. And Leech. An okay familiar. Basically just deals damage. Doesn't give me the health regen effects that it would normally do for a character who has red health. But that's okay. At the moment I'm picking items up just to pick items up. Got the full card, which will allow me to teleport out of this boss rush mode. Not a lot in the boss rush until we see Technology 0. It's a very, very good item in my opinion if you've got piercing on your shots, which I don't in this run, but if you've got piercing, the damage that it deals between your shots in those little electric bursts is 33% of your normal damage. So that's actually a pretty non-zero amount of damage, and very, very fun to see, you know, melting enemies. Right, we're on to the womb floors. As usual, these floors are just about going as fast as you can towards the boss room. You're not going to find shops, you're not going to find item rooms, so there's potentially way less that you can get in the way of items, making them, you know, it's not very valuable to stick around in these floors. That said, I did just pick up Guppy's Eye, which allows me to see the contents of chests and fires, so that's a pretty good pickup. Not really very useful at this stage in the game, but again, picking up items to pick up items. A very fast bloat fight. This is an enemy that can sometimes end runs because of his very annoying laser attacks. Again, getting into the angel room, Vade Retro. Not a very good item for the current setup that I've got. I already have a couple of really great activated items. And as you can see, an abundance of damage. So there's no reason for me to really, you know, change my setup at the moment. I could be more active in using my Book of Belial. This gives me a lot of extra damage if I choose to use it, but I think I'm just forgetting because every time I get to a boss, I just obliterate it in mere seconds. Sad Onion gives me tears up, but I'm already at my tier cap, so that's fine as well. Spoonbender, giving me homing tears. This is a great item to get. You all pretty much always want Spoonbender. It's a very, very strong item because if you can hit more often, that's a damage up. You're missing less shots, so you are effectively increasing your damage. I didn't feel the need there to continue playing that claw machine game to get the shielded tears lost contact item, because I've already got ways of blocking shots with Ghost Pepper and the wisps that I've got, so it, you know, return on investment's quite low. Trying to find the boss room, a very, very quick pride fight, as it should be at this point in any run. Must be on the other side of the map. You can see there the wisps from my Book of Virtues coming in pretty clutch, blocking shots for me. And it's replenishable. Every time I use Guppy's Head, it just replenishes those wisps. A very quick it lives fight. And Angelic Prism. Really cool item. This allows for any shots that you make through the prism as it revolves around you to split into 4, and, you know, obviously turns that damage up 4 times. It's hard to actually make sure you're always utilizing it. I would say it's just a benefit, just an added bonus if you've got it, if you've got your tears going through that. Not really something that you would be focusing on min-maxing throughout a floor, but you know, maybe if your run's not extremely powerful like this one, then maybe you'd focus a bit more on attempting to get that extra damage.
Tears down.
Super chill shoal floor, and here we go against Satan. Now I'll just remind you that this isn't sped up, this is normal speed. This is just how quickly Ghost Pepper, yeah, look at that, that's crazy. I think he took multiple ticks of damage from multiple Ghost Peppers there because of the size of his body and the fact that they do pierce. So super quick Satan fight, and we're already on the final room, the final floor. Whore of Babylon is a good damage up, but I've already got so much damage. I feel like getting something like Succubus is great because it can not only upgrade my damage higher than Whore of Babylon would, but it also deals damage to enemies regardless of what my tiers are doing. So I can be shooting in one direction, and the Succubus will be in another direction dealing damage over there to enemies. Maybe flies or something like that, that, you know, I consider probably a less of a threat in any given room. Two fallen enemies. Yes, they certainly are fallen. This whole floor now, it's really just, you know, it's overkill. The fact that I've got so much damage, almost 20 damage, 28 when I'm within the radius of my Succubus, it really means everything just melts instantaneously. Poison Tears, yet more damage, great. And as you've probably seen, throughout this run, I've been getting angel deals, and in those rooms I've been killing the angel statue that's within those rooms. Which means that I actually have the 2 halves of the key to get into the Mega Satan fight. So let's see if I can beat the Lamb, and then also finish off this run with a great victory against Mega Satan. Wow, really just one volley of shots from every single one of these rooms. I'm just shooting for half a second, they're dying instantaneously, and then I'm moving on to the next room, maybe even picking up an item. as the reward for the room clear. Okay, the lamb room. Wow. Easy clap. So I won't do the victory lap, obviously. I don't really see much point. If you're already slamming things this hard in the regular run, what's the point in starting from the beginning just to really enforce the point that you're so OP already? So heading back to the first room, I'm going to jump into that Mega Satan fight. Oh, that would have been so good. Parasitoid, obviously synergizing really well for high luck stat. I'd get even more flies, but not meant to be because I don't want to lose my Holy Shield. Mega Satan's not an incredibly difficult enemy, but due to the variety of different things you have to go through to get the victory, all of the horsemen, all the different deadly sins, it can be a little bit ominous for a character like the Tainted Lost who can only really take a couple of shots of damage. But as you can see, everything's just melting. The angels, the main Mega Satan head itself, it's just so much damage coming out that it can't even overcome it. And then on top of that, when you're going into the bullet hell stage of the Mega Satan, he didn't even get a shot off. That's just the power of Ghost Pepper and the way that that blocking effect works to insulate you from any potential damage. Thanks again for watching. That's another easy win. I look forward to seeing you in the next one.